One evening, as Chloe took her usual dose of medication, she noticed something strange. The label on the bottle looked slightly off. Curious, she carefully peeled at the edge of the sticker. What she found made her blood run cold. Underneath was another label, and printed on it was her mother's name. Her heart pounded. Why was her mother's name on the medication she had been taking her entire life? Was this even her prescription? That night, when her mother brought her the pills again, Chloe decided to be cautious. She placed them in her mouth but didn't swallow, secretly tucking them under her tongue. The moment her mother left the room, she spat out the green capsule. Once the house was silent, she turned on her computer, desperate to search for information about the drug. But something was wrong. The screen displayed, "No internet connection." Panic surged through her. She had been taking these pills for 17 years, yet her health had only gotten worse. Instead of improving, she had developed a long list of illnesses: muscle weakness, diabetes, asthma, pneumonia, even heart disease. Worst of all, she had mysteriously lost the ability to walk and had been confined to a wheelchair for as long as she could remember. Her skin, instead of being smooth and youthful, was rough and covered in rashes. On top of that, her diet was extremely restricted. Any small change in her food could cause dangerous spikes in her blood sugar. She needed insulin injections daily. It felt like she had been cursed from birth. But Chloe never let her condition stop her. She studied hard under her mother's guidance, determined to get into Washington University and change her life. Yet, no matter how many entrance exams she took, she never received a single response. No acceptance letter, not even a rejection. It was as if her applications had vanished into thin air. Her body had failed her, but now a darker thought crept into her mind. Was someone else holding her back? Ever since discovering the hidden label, Chloe had noticed a change. Her mother had started keeping the medication bottles on the highest shelf, just out of her reach, as if she was hiding something. Determined to find out the truth, Chloe used a grabber tool to pull one of the bottles down. She wrote down the drug's name, then turned on her mother's computer to search for it. No internet connection. It didn't make sense. The Wi-Fi had never gone out before. Then, a horrifying realization struck her. Her mother had unplugged the internet on purpose, and at that very moment, just beyond her doorway, her mother stood silently, watching her. The next morning, her mother acted as if nothing was wrong. She called the internet provider, pretending to report an issue. Chloe listened closely as the technician told her the internet wouldn't be fixed until the end of the month. A month without internet. Without a phone and no way to contact the outside world, Chloe felt trapped. Except, there was one way. Her mother had a landline phone in her bedroom. That afternoon, when her mother stepped outside to tend to the garden, Chloe wheeled herself inside and quickly dialed her doctor's office. The phone rang. Then, before she could speak, the doctor answered. "Hello, Diane." Chloe froze. He had called her by her mother's name. Fear gripped her. If the doctor was involved, he might tell her mother she called. Panicked, she hung up. She had no choice. She needed to find help elsewhere. She dialed a random number. To her surprise, someone answered. "Please," she whispered, desperate. "Look up a medication for me. Trigoxin. Trigoxin. The stranger agreed. Chloe waited, her pulse racing. "Can you check the images?" she urged. A long pause. Finally, the person spoke. "Trigoxin is a small red pill." Chloe's stomach dropped. Her mother had been giving her green capsules. She had been lied to. For 17 years, her medication had been switched. Her mother had been keeping something from her. But Chloe knew one thing. She couldn't let her know she had figured it out. So, she stayed calm. Acted normal. That night, she casually suggested they go into town to watch a movie. Her mother hesitated, studying her. Then, finally, she agreed. But before leaving, Chloe secretly took a handful of the green capsules she had hidden. She needed to find out what they really were. As they arrived in town, Chloe spotted a pharmacy nearby. Inside the movie theater, she waited for the right moment. Her mother was completely absorbed in the film. This was her chance. "I need to use the restroom," she said. Her mother barely looked away from the screen. Chloe wheeled herself out of the theater and across the street to the pharmacy. But when she stepped inside, her heart sank. There was a long line. She didn't have time to wait. Her mother would come looking for her any minute. Ignoring the stares, she forced herself to the front. "I need to look up a medication," she told the pharmacist, handing him the capsules. "It's under my mother's name." The pharmacist typed in the information. A tense silence filled the air. Then, his face changed. Chloe's stomach twisted. She leaned in, barely breathing. And then, the pharmacist spoke. "This isn't Trigoxin," he said. "It's a muscle relaxant. If taken for a long time, it can completely paralyze the body." Chloe felt like the ground had been ripped from under her. 17 years. For 17 years, her mother had been drugging her. That's why she couldn't walk. A wave of nausea hit her. Her entire life had been a lie. Then, before she could react, the pharmacy door swung open. Her mother stood there. Chloe's blood turned to ice. She turned to the pharmacist, her eyes pleading, shaking her head. "Help me." But the pharmacist didn't understand. Her mother smiled, calm as ever. "There you are, sweetheart," she said gently, stepping forward. Chloe's hands gripped her wheelchair, her pulse hammering. Then, in one swift motion, her mother pulled a syringe from her pocket and plunged it into Chloe's leg. Darkness swallowed her. When Chloe woke up, she was back in her room. Afternoon light streamed through the window. Her body felt heavy, her mind groggy. Her mother had drugged her again. She turned her head slightly. On the nightstand, a plate of food sat untouched. But Chloe had no appetite. She needed to escape. Forcing herself into her wheelchair, she rolled toward the door and tried the handle. It didn't budge. It was locked. Her mother had anticipated this. But Chloe wasn't giving up. She reached into her desk drawer and pulled out a few metal wires she had secretly collected. With shaky fingers, she worked at the lock. Click. Relief washed over her. She pushed the door open, only to find it wouldn't move. A wooden plank had been placed across the handles, barricading it from the outside. Her stomach twisted. Her mother had really thought of everything. But Chloe wasn't stopping now. Her only option was the window. She was weak. If she wanted to survive the climb, she needed strength. Reluctantly, she turned to the plate of food and forced herself to eat. Then she grabbed her homemade pulley system, secured the cords around herself, and prepared to climb. She took a deep breath, then went over the edge. Her body was heavy. Her arms trembled for years. She had been trapped in a useless body, unable to move, unable to fight back. But not anymore. She clung to the rope, pulling herself slowly along the rooftop. The tiles were loose beneath her. Her lifeless legs dragged behind her. The height made her dizzy. One slip and she'd fall. But she had to keep going. Her mother had stolen her life. She wouldn't let her take her future too. Reaching her mother's window, she pushed against it. Locked, of course. But Chloe had one final trick. She reached into her bag, pulling out her secret weapon, a soldering iron. Plugging it in, she waited for the tip to glow red hot. Then she pressed it against the center of the glass. Cracks formed instantly. She took the final step, spitting cold water onto the weakened spot. The sudden temperature change shattered the glass. She reached inside, unlocked the window, and pulled herself through. Finally, she was inside. Exhausted, she collapsed onto the floor. Then, her chest tightened. A suffocating, familiar feeling crept in. An asthma attack. Panic surged through her. She needed her inhaler. It was in her room. Dragging herself across the floor, she inched toward her bedroom door. Every breath was agony. The world blurred. Her fingers brushed against the cabinet. She forced herself up, grabbed the inhaler, and took a desperate breath. Air filled her lungs. Relief. Then, she noticed something. Her foot twitched. Chloe froze. She stared down at her legs, waiting, hoping. Then it happened again. A tiny movement, barely anything, but enough. For the first time in over a decade, she could feel her toes. Her mind reeled. She had been right. She had never been sick. Her mother had made her this way. A shockwave of rage coursed through her. This woman, her mother, had stolen everything from her. But Chloe wasn't just going to escape. She was going to take her life back. She shoved herself toward the staircase, and if she couldn't walk down, she'd fall down. Throwing her wheelchair over the edge, she hurled herself forward. Pain exploded through her body as she tumbled down the steps. She hit the floor. Her vision swam. For a moment, everything went black. Then, a twitch. Her foot moved again. It wasn't a mistake. She could move. And if she could move, she could run. Ignoring the pain, she dragged herself toward her wheelchair, shoved forward, and rolled out the front door. The cold night air hit her like a slap. Freedom. She pushed forward with every ounce of strength she had, racing toward the road. Then, headlights. A car. Chloe waved frantically. It screeched to a stop, just inches away. A man jumped out. "Are you okay?" Chloe gasped for air. "Please, help me. Take me to the police." The man hesitated, taking in her bruised, battered body. Then he nodded, reaching to help her. For the first time in her life, Chloe felt hope. She was finally getting away. But then, another set of headlights appeared in the distance. Her mother's car. Chloe's blood turned to ice. No, she whispered. Her mother had found her. Panic surged through her veins. She grabbed the driver's arm. "Please, hurry!" The door ripped open. Her mother stood there, calm, smiling. Then, with terrifying ease, she grabbed the man and threw him to the ground. Chloe screamed. Before she could react, her mother pressed a cloth over her mouth. A sickly sweet scent filled her nose. Chloroform. Her body went limp. Darkness swallowed her. Chloe woke to an unfamiliar sight, a place she had never seen before. The basement, her mother's secret basement. Her pulse pounded as she took in her surroundings. A workbench, old storage boxes, and a pile of envelopes. Her breath caught. With trembling hands, she reached for the first one. Her name was on it. She tore it open. A letter. From Washington University. Her hands shook. She had been accepted. She had gotten in, and her mother had hidden the letter. Her entire life, her future, had been stolen. Fury boiled inside her. Then, at the bottom of the pile, she found a small wooden box. She flipped it open. Inside were childhood photos. But something was wrong. In every single one, her legs had been scratched out. Then she found it. A death certificate. Her heart stopped. The name on it? Chloe. Her entire body went cold. Chloe's entire body trembled. Her breath came in short gasps as her mother loomed closer, syringe in hand. She had to escape. Without thinking, she turned and bolted toward the nearest door. She threw herself inside and slammed it shut, locking it just in time. For a brief moment, she was safe, but she knew it wouldn't last. Her mother wouldn't give up that easily. Chloe frantically scanned the shelves, looking for anything she could use to defend herself. Then, her eyes landed on a small bottle. Poison, a dangerous, lethal dose. A desperate plan formed in her mind. If her mother refused to let her go, if she truly wanted to trap her here forever, then Chloe would take away the one thing her mother wanted to control: her life. The lock rattled behind her. Her mother had found the key. As the door creaked open, Chloe twisted the cap off the poison bottle. Her mother's eyes widened in horror. "No, Chloe! Put that down!" Chloe didn't hesitate. She tipped the bottle toward her lips. Her mother lunged. "No!" she screamed. Everything went black. Chloe awoke to the steady beeping of machines. She was in a hospital. She had survived. She blinked, adjusting to the bright, fluorescent lights above her. A tube was in her throat, making it impossible to speak. But she was alive. And then she saw her mother, standing just outside the glass window, staring at her. Chloe's pulse skyrocketed. She had to get help. She forced her trembling fingers toward the emergency call button, pressing it over and over. A nurse entered, her expression concerned. Chloe's eyes darted toward the notepad on the bedside table. The nurse understood and handed it to her. With shaking hands, Chloe wrote a single word: M-O-M. The nurse frowned. "Your mother?" Chloe nodded frantically, then looked toward the window. The nurse followed her gaze, but her mother was gone. A chill ran down Chloe's spine. The nurse patted her hand gently. "Don't worry, sweetheart. You're safe here." Chloe wanted to believe her, but deep down, she knew. Her mother wasn't finished yet. That night, alarms blared through the hospital. Something was wrong. Chloe's heart pounded as her machine suddenly powered off. The rhythmic beeping of her monitors stopped. The tube in her throat was yanked out. She choked, gasping for air. Then she saw her mother, standing over her bed, smiling. "Let's go home," she whispered. Chloe thrashed, trying to scream, but her voice was gone. Her mother quickly lifted her into a wheelchair and pushed her toward the door. The hospital was on lockdown, but her mother had a plan. Chloe's breathing came in rapid bursts. She looked around, searching for someone, anyone, to help her. A nurse walked past. Chloe's eyes widened. She tried to move, tried to signal. But before the nurse could notice, a loud alarm rang. A blue emergency code. Her mother had triggered it. In the chaos, no one was paying attention to her anymore. Her mother rolled her toward the elevator. This was it. If she left this hospital, she would never escape. Panic surged through her. Then, an idea struck her. She concentrated every ounce of strength she had and moved her legs. Her feet pressed against the floor, stopping the wheelchair in place. Her mother froze. Then, horror dawned in her eyes. Chloe was standing. For the first time in years, she was on her feet. Her mother's lips trembled. "No, no, you can't." Chloe's eyes locked onto hers, filled with defiance. "I can." Then, using all her strength, she shoved the wheelchair back, sending her mother tumbling down the stairs. A sickening crack echoed through the air. Silence. Her mother lay crumpled at the bottom, her legs twisted unnaturally. She was alive, but she would never walk again. Months passed. Chloe was free. Without the drugs, her body slowly healed. Physical therapy helped her regain strength. Though her legs were still weak, she could stand. She could walk. She had her life back. But some wounds never fully healed. One day she visited a maximum security prison. A guard escorted her down the sterile hallway. They stopped in front of a cell. Inside sat her mother, bound to a wheelchair. Chloe stepped closer, her heart steady, her expression unreadable. Her mother's eyes were filled with a mixture of longing and fear. Chloe leaned in, and with a smile, she whispered the same words her mother had once told her. "I love you, Mom.